Hey everyone, John from BrioHR here. Today I want to share 22 tips about how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, how to get more views from recruiters, how to get more interviews, and hopefully how to secure a new job faster. So let's get started. Okay, so tip number one, edit your URL address. The URL address is the web address of your LinkedIn profile. It's normally a long stream of numbers, it's not particularly nice looking, and it's not very shareable. It doesn't look very clean when you share it on your CV, on other documents, or in emails. So take the time, go into the settings, you can edit it to whatever you want it to be, and it will make it much cleaner when you share it. Okay, so tip number two, get a decent profile picture. It's so easy these days with modern smartphones to take a really good profile picture. All you need is a smartphone and a friend, and you can take a really good one. I see so many bad ones, people using passport photos, people taking a photo of another photo, even people with no profile picture. But if you want to stand out, if you want recruiters to see you, if you want to stand out from the rest of the crowd, you have to have a good profile picture and make sure you smile. Tip number three, your headline. You need to make it as impulsive as possible. The headline is the little piece of text that goes underneath your photo. It's only around 200 characters, so you haven't got a lot of space to really fill in a lot of details. So you need to make it short, impulsive, and precise, i.e. what you do, what you want to do, and what you're passionate to do. Tip number four, get your location right. The location is right underneath the headline, and if you don't get it right, you simply will not be visible to recruiters searching in your country. Tip number five, write a really good about section. The about section is virtually the same as a summary on a CV, but it's the first time on your LinkedIn profile that you really get a chance to talk in depth about yourself. So make sure you use it properly. Don't necessarily talk about what you've done in the past, but actually talk about what you can do, what you want to do, and what you're passionate about doing. And really try and make it as impulsive as possible, put lots of keywords in there, and make sure that people want to read on after reading it. Tip number six, in your experience section, always link the company that you work for to the company's actual LinkedIn page. There's a couple of reasons for this. It makes your profile look far more interesting. It makes it look far more legitimate. But more importantly, a lot of recruiters often search for candidates within certain companies. So linking your company to the company's LinkedIn page will help you appear in more recruiter searches. Tip number eight. So when you're writing about your experience, try to talk about your achievements, your results, your skills, and your abilities. Tip number nine. So when you're writing about your experience, don't talk about tasks. It's not a job description. No one's interested in the day-to-day duties that you do. So tip number 10, always ask people to check your profile for you. Ask your friends, ask your colleagues, ask them to read over it and give you feedback. And once they've given you feedback, make sure you act on that feedback. Tip number 11, make sure you turn on the open to opportunities function. It really works. Tip number 12, after experience and education, there's a skills section. This is where you can list all the skills that you've accumulated throughout the years. And you can also get other people to endorse you for them, ex-colleagues, bosses, etc. They're always willing to help people out. It's very important because, again, recruiters use search terms and they search via skills. And by adding all your relevant skills, this will make you appear in more and more searches. Tip number 13, so lucky number 13, recommendations. Under the skills section, there's a section where you can request for your ex-colleagues to give you recommendations. This is normally a short paragraph, really highlighting your skills and abilities and what it's like to work with you, that future employers can possibly look at. And recruiters do look at it, so make sure that you do try and get as many recommendations as possible. More importantly, whenever someone gives you a recommendation, make sure you try and give them one back. Tip number 14, only apply for jobs that are relevant for you. If you start applying for every single job, you become nothing more than spam. Tip number 15, join some LinkedIn groups which are relevant to your area of specialization. This really helps you network with people that might potentially be hiring managers. For example, if you're in finance, join some LinkedIn groups about finance. If you're in HR, join some LinkedIn groups about HR. They're going to be full of people who can potentially be your next employer or your next boss. Tip number 16, why don't you share some posts on LinkedIn? Write something about your experience, write something about a subject relevant to your experience, Write something about a subject relevant to the type of job that you want. Post regularly, post positively, and use hashtags. People really will start to take notice. Tip number 17. Write a LinkedIn article about something close to your heart. It doesn't have to be long. It's just simply there to draw attention to yourself and let people know a bit more about you. Tip number 18. Stop thinking of your LinkedIn profile as a CV. It's not. It's part of your personal brand, and that's how you should think about it. Tip number 19. Start to up the number of connection requests that you send. Send them to HR people, send them to recruiters, send them to business leaders, but also send them to the heads of departments that you would like to work for. Tip number 20. And actually this is a really important one, and it's one that a lot of people just don't do. You need to start making a list of companies that you would love to work for. Companies that you've always admired, companies that you've heard lots of things about. Try and make a list of at least 100 companies, and then start adding connections in those companies, whether it's the HR folks, the recruiters, the business leaders, the heads of department which are relevant to you. Start building your network. Okay, tip number 21. We're getting close to the end now. So once you have started to build your network, you're getting more and more connections in the relevant industries, in the relevant companies. Start to use them, actually start to network. Like their posts, comment on their posts. Really start to make sure that they can see you and make sure that you're visible to them. Tip number 22. The last tip. Thank you so much for staying all the way till the end. And actually this is probably one of the most important tips, is to actually start messaging people in your network. So many people rely on applying for jobs in order to find their next job. But in reality, only a small percentage of jobs are actually advertised online. The rest, they search internally, they use headhunters, they use LinkedIn Recruiter to find new people. They don't actually rely on placing job ads. So if you're only applying for job ads, you're missing out on a huge percentage of the jobs that actually exist. You need to actually aggressively go into the market and start messaging people. Now actually messaging people can be quite tricky. The way you word your message, the way you structure your message is very, very important. So I really strongly advise you to start Googling things like how to construct a sales pitch, how to construct a short sales message, how to sell myself in a short message. Google these things and start to write a really good, short, impulsive message that you can start sending out to recruiters, business heads, department leaders, and really get yourself out there. So I'll finish this message with just saying very best of luck to you. I hope you can find a new job soon, and I hope this video has been useful to you.